Folks, welcome back to the Keep Going podcast with Vin Kennedy. I'm your host, Vin Kennedy. As you can tell, we have our second guest ever, Nick. Want to do a little intro?
Yeah, sure. So, I graduated St. John's last year with a bachelor's degree in finance, and I have a music business that I've been running. I have the Retro Gaming channel, which you've been a guest on.
Absolutely.
And really, just this past year, I've been trying to just start up all of these like hobbies, but I'm trying to monetize the hobbies so I can like do it full time.
More passions, really.
Yeah. So my goal right now is just to, spend a lot of the time that I have now where I have the freedom to do it with like, I only have student loans, I don't have bills or whatever because I'm still living at home. But I'm trying to just grow these businesses into potentially profitable enough to live off. Like both of them right now are profitable, which I'm like pretty proud of.
Absolutely.
But it's not enough yet, obviously. So
Yeah, getting there.
we just started, but
Absolutely.
it's the journey. So that's a little bit about me. I mean, I love music, movies, the usual spiel.
Yeah, so I mean, just to kind of pick up where we met, we met through a mutual friend, his little brother, and we met at a graduation party. And at the time, you were playing some beats. So if you want to get in a little bit about the music stuff.
Well, we were playing our music. Remember, we were playing these songs with we were rapping on it and stuff. But I started making beats in January of 2019. So like pretty recently. I've been playing music my whole life. When I was 9, I got my first guitar, and there's like a whole funny story behind it. So Santa brought me my first guitar, but Santa didn't think about me being a lefty. So I know you're a lefty. I'm a lefty. So I was given a righty guitar.
That's a big problem.
So, I got the guitar, and I was like so excited, but then I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, it's a righty.
Right.
So rather than like trying to learn lefty, I actually just learned righty. Which like wasn't any difficult because it's something brand new, so you don't really think about it. But I'm actually glad because learning, like, there's no lefty teachers.
Right.
So trying to learn from a lefty, everything's backwards because, I'm sitting this way. So it would have been difficult to kind of see what he was doing.
That's awesome.
So I've been, I was playing guitar, and about a month in, let me go back. My dad's best friend from college, his best friend, his name was Steve Spodak, which, a nobody, which is sad to say, but actually one of the greatest guitarists of all time. His uncle is Jeff Berlin. I don't know, you probably don't know who he is, but he's a famous bass player. There's videos of him playing songs on YouTube that are like impossible to play. There's a song called Donna Lee, like 15 guitarists in the world can play, and he could. But the sad part is he just never went anywhere with it.
Right.
He didn't care. He was just one of those guys that loved playing. He played
Just
10 hours a day, but could not even think about how would I like turn this into career. But a month in, he actually wound up having a heart attack and passing away. So like right away, right after that, I gave up. I put my guitar away, and I didn't pick it back up until junior year of high school. I actually wound up having a dream of him and him playing, and like it actually made me upset because I'm like, I quit because I was so angry that he passed on, and I was like, I'm not doing music, like this is no fun. But then having that dream made me get back into music. I literally went the next day, bought a guitar at Guitar Center, started teaching myself on YouTube, watching tutorials. And it kept just building. So like, music started as just something for fun. And then I found this whole production world. And I was like, what's musical production? So I watched YouTube on that, FL Studio. I won't go into detail because no one knows all this stuff. But I just started really, diving into music as like, wait a minute. There's a spot for me behind the scenes that I can potentially just add to a record and be in the music industry but not be that artist, because a lot of people don't know you don't have to be an artist to make it in the industry. Like Dr. Dre is one of the most famous artists, but he's a producer at first. He's known for his production. So I didn't know any of this really until I started doing the research, and then I fell in love with it, and I've been making ever since. Every day I haven't been recently, but I've been posting every day for over a year.
That's awesome.
Which, it's just trying to grow the business even further.
And like you said, it's that passion. Like, it's not just and the story behind it, obviously, with your teacher, but it's not just, you're trying to turn hobbies into careers, and that's the difference. And a lot of people just leave things as the hobby, and you're taking that full extent to, you want to care about what you do. And a lot of people, again, not to bash 9-to-5 jobs or the corporate world, but kind of just settle in a job they get out of college and that's it, and you're trying to do it your own way, which I think is awesome. I think
I mean, there's pros and cons. Like, obviously it's great to drive for it and want it, but at the same time, it actually, not that it messes with you, but because they're both creatively based, it's hard to monetize because you're thinking, this is what the market wants, so I have to make that. So it like limits the creativity in a way where these past few months I've been like forced to make music that I don't want to make, just because that's what's selling now. So like, it's like a yin yang. Like, you want to do it creatively and make the money off it to live off it, but at the same time, in order to do that, you have to cater to.
It's true, but it's funny too, because now obviously like TikTok and people have YouTube channels.
Sure.
But it's I feel like uniqueness kind of comes to the forefront, and that's where people, at least for a lot of the content that I take in, it's a lot of fitness stuff, a lot of motivational stuff, and it's, if you're not your own person, you're not authentic, people could see through the bullshit.
Oh, sure.
So I'm sure, to some extent, absolutely, you have to cater to an audience, but I feel like you also get that being unique. You have your own spin on it, which people really like.
Right. So kind of going off that, people won't know the difference, but there's like a type beat producer, it's called. Mm-hmm. So people that work through the internet. I'm more of an in-person, let's meet at the studio, like I'll create a record with you with like, what do you feel like today? Oh, I feel upset. I'll play that kind of music. There's a difference between the two, and it's difficult trying to do one or the other. Mm-hmm. Like me being more of an in-person, work off the energy to try and be the YouTube side of it, which I've been doing, is very difficult for me because you need to narrow down.
Right.
Like, I make all different types of music, from rock to rap to drill. Like, there's so many subgenres within rap itself, and I make all of it. But when you make a YouTube channel,
you gotta
analytics, the algorithm's gonna go, no, you don't make all of it. You make this sound.
You gotta stay in your lane, like.
So it's difficult. Like, that's why I would say there's a pros and cons to trying to monetize something that you're chasing.
It's true. And just to pick up, so Nick kind of does all of this for me.
Yeah.
Just forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure anybody that's seen this is like, this kid does not edit his own videos. Like, he doesn't even know how to like type in his password in his computer. Like, I'm not that bad, but I mean, it really, your work ethic is something that from day one, it was the difference of, I mean, I think I was just telling somebody this the other day, the first channel we did, the first YouTube episode, you're putting in the thumbnail picture a book, and there was I think there was
there's a shadow in the corner.
A shadow in the corner. And you're like, wait, give me a minute. And you like brought into, I don't even know what system you brought into, but you like scrubbed the shadow. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And from there, but like that just speaks to your work ethic. And I think there's little things like that like I personally try and pick up on from people, just from a lot of the information I've taken in myself. And like, that's the difference. Like, and
100%.
It might seem minuscule, but that's, having your little touches on things is what's going to change.
Well, a lot of it is just care.
Right.
Anybody could have taken your money and made a thumbnail in 2 seconds and sent it.
Right.
Like, I care how it comes out because, it's important.
Right.
And anything I've ever done, like, I always tell people everyone says I put 100% in, but like, I really do.
Yeah, no, you can tell. That's awesome.
With this gaming channel, we post 3 times a day, videos, YouTube, all that. Like, it's just something in my brain is like wired incorrectly or correctly, however you want to perceive it.
Right.
Where if I'm doing it, I'm doing it.
Right.
Like, it has to be done.
Yeah.
And I know, like, you mentioned all that time, like, oh, you wake up, you don't want to run the miles, you're doing it anyway.
Right.
Like, I take that approach to, like, this content creation side, where I said I was doing this channel, and we're doing what we set the standard of, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's just not being afraid to, like, I learned all of this by myself.
Right.
The YouTube. I always call it, and I said I was going to say it in this podcast,
Absolutely.
I call it YouTube University, because
yeah.
You don't need to take classes and pay for people. You can literally go on YouTube and search anything, and there's a video on how to do it.
Right.
So I learned this free software, DaVinci Resolve, how to do it all. I learned how to edit. I learned how to game capture. all off YouTube.
Yeah.
Even music, I'm self-taught. I had lessons for a month, but you know, I didn't remember anything when I was 9.
Right.
I learned everything from the software to music theory, all that just self-taught, just off the basis of Googling words on YouTube and searching for it.
Yeah, but it's like that's the hard work and the work ethic that people shy away from.
They just don't want to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's not the glamorous stuff. And then even you went into earlier, like, it's, you know, you're on the producing side. Like, you're going to be known, you're going to be big, but, you know, you don't have to be the forefront. Like, you know the work that you put in, and it matters to you, and that's your...
And it matters about the, like, for me, everybody says it, and it sounds so cliche, but it's the music.
Right.
Like, that's why everyone gets into it in the beginning, usually. You love the music side of it. Yeah. And then people get worried about the money and the fame and all that.
Sure.
I don't want to be known. I'd rather be a ghost producer and just live off me making music and just enjoying that.
Yeah, I mean,
but
pretty cool.
I know you're the other way. You want the fame.
I don't want the fame. I do like.
No, you want the recognition.
Not even recognition. I just like and even just from this channel, like the last week, I don't even maybe like, and obviously it's not like an enormous amount of people. Like 6 people have hit me up. Like, you know, like. I listen to your YouTube channel. It's actually making a difference.
Right.
And again, no words I say are going to change someone's life, but you might just catch something that you need to hear.
That's the crazy part.
Well, yeah, I just mean like overnight kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you could catch something that you could hold on to that could create a small change. And that's for me is why I do like to an extent.
Well, it can trigger something in your mind to go, you know what? You know, I can do it if he can.
Right.
Because we're both really, at this point in time, just regular people, and,
right.
and everybody's a regular person when you think about it.
But yeah, absolutely.
But it shows you, like, wait a minute, you know, he's doing this on his own, and he doesn't rely on other things. You can learn it on your own and do it just off of, if you want to.
It's true.
It comes down to the willpower and like wanting 100%. To do it.
100%. It's funny too because of the, you know, you say like, oh, I want to. Like, I do to an extent want to be in front of the camera, but it's also that shy kid in me that never did.
Yeah.
So it's just like a hurdle like that I just continuously fight. Like,
right.
It's,
well, you enjoy challenging.
I just like making myself uncomfortable. It's like the sickest thing. And I never was this way.
For me, I'm always the reserved, like, even when you're saying, yo, you want to be on it? I'm like, I'll be on it, but like...
Right. I know. Yeah. It's true. But that's the thing. And it's like, I just know what I gained from doing that. And just from continuously just like knocking down that wall. And it's like, of course, I mean, people, you guys post all the time. You're in the videos. Obviously, I post my own kind of content. I'm in the videos, and it's, you don't want to always post them, or you don't always like how it looks or how it sounds, and it's just that repetition of like, this is what I do, like this is me now.
Something that I've realized just over these past few months is so many people are just so afraid to do it.
100%.
That me making a fool of myself on a TikTok video and putting it out to the world, I've gotten people from high school saying like, yo, your videos are hilarious. Like,
right.
And you know, in the beginning, you're not nervous, but like, you're like, I'm making an idiot of myself.
100%,
like,
yeah.
And people are going to see this and like either laugh at whatever. But like, you know, we've even gotten some messages on there of like people. So we have this person DM us and was like, I lost in touch with my cousin. Like, we never spoke. Our family had 2 huge fights, and we posted a video of, what was it? It was an old PS2 game. I forget the specifics because we put up so many. But he's like, we literally used to play that every day together. So I sent it to him, and he claimed, I mean, I don't want to knock him, but he said they started talking again just off of a video we posted. Right. Like, that to me, like, really put into perspective, like, we're just doing videos to have fun, but like, in a sense, something that doesn't seem like it doesn't mean a lot to me and you just having fun, it means something.
It matters,
people.
Yeah. Sure.
It's just crazy to think about.
It's so true, yeah. It's the deep impact, and like you said, it could be something as far as, you know, an old PS2 game, but I mean, you've rekindled a relationship, really.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then just, obviously, while we're on the topic, if you want to bring up the TikTok account and all.
Yeah, so my best friend Vinny and I started a channel called The Vintage Voyagers. So we have a TikTok channel, YouTube channel, and I believe we have an Instagram, but we post all just old retro nostalgic video games and like skits and gameplay and just fun things. Vinny and I, we both graduated, and you know, right out we got hit with COVID.
Right.
Like, we had the worst thing. We had a year and a half of school online, which it is what it is, but the jobs were all closed still, or you know, you needed vaccination, whatever, blah blah. So we were like, listen, we can't find a job right now.
Right.
And I mean, I tried so hard in school, like my resume stacked, but it didn't matter because no one was hiring.
Right.
Because everyone's working from home. They're getting double the work out of somebody who's working from home. Anyway, we were watching YouTube one night, and we watched two guys go and play addicting games.
Oh, yeah.
The internet era.
Remember Bubble Trouble?
Yeah.
Let's go.
No,
Are
they
you
were
kidding?
playing, what was it? Bow and arrow. What's the arrow one? You're both characters off screen. You shoot the arrow at the specific angle, and it, like, tries to hit.
Tank one.
Yeah, tanks.
It was
yeah,
tanks?
but it was bow and
arrows.
arrow
Okay,
with
gotcha.
tanks. And we were watching these guys, and they were having a great time, and I'm like, yo, we could do this.
100%, yeah.
So, like, you know, our first videos, if you go to the bottom, were terrible.
Right.
But we were just throwing stuff at the wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you kind of get the feeling, and you watch more in videos on TikTok, what does well, what doesn't, and you get the feel, and then literally, not that it was overnight, because we put a month of work in before it hit, but once that first video hit, like, everything started to hit.
Yeah.
And then we were having videos hit millions, and, you know,
yeah.
It was crazy
No, I
to
feel
just
like,
think about.
Yeah, I mean, even obviously from Vincent, tell me about it. I feel like you guys went from, like, a very small amount of followers to, like, 30K in, like, overnight.
Yeah, we were on pace. We've been on pace to hit 10K a month, but 1 month we, like you said, it just blew up.
Yeah.
I mean, the first month we were at, like, I want to say 1,000, and 3 or 4 videos of those, like, months worth of videos gave us the 15,000, 20,000 followers, like, alone.
What are you guys at now?
I think we're at almost 68,000 followers.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Which, like, I mean, we post 3 times a day. It's a lot of work.
Right.
And, like, we edit, we make sure it looks nice, but
like you said, your work ethic goes into that, and it's just you can't fail. You really can't.
And I always say this, like, you can monetize anything today.
It's true.
Just based off the way that we are, like, everything is content. You could be a painter and work a painting job, but still make 6 figures painting on TikTok.
Right. No, it's true.
Literally painting what you're doing for work. You know, they edge in, and it's like the satisfying videos, whatever, ASMR,
I love
whatever.
those, yeah.
You can literally make money off of anything.
Yeah, so something you mentioned were, like, those first videos. You were kind of just, you didn't say it, but throwing shit at the wall.
Yeah.
And that goes back to even you were saying, you know, anybody can monetize anything or just do something.
Right.
And it goes back to that just starting and doing. A lot of people talk themselves out of it or kind of fight that uncomfortable feeling where it's putting yourself out there. I mean, I think your videos crush it, and you guys, you put the time in. So, like, it shows, and you edit them great, and it's, you know, but like you said, even in the beginning, like, those first videos, they're not going to be perfect. And I think that's getting it out there and just starting, and you build momentum, and then someone like you just comes in and, you know, and it's insane. Like, it's awesome what you could do, and you just kind of redefine and refine all of your skills and just clean it up for a sense.
Yeah.
But it's, I think it's...
Well, it's funny. Our first video wound up, like, I started realizing that it's not always about the editing. Like, it's content first.
Right.
So in the beginning, we were literally just, like, playing the game, just saying, today we're playing this game. And,
Right.
like, no one was watching.
Right.
And then we started realizing, like, why don't we just say, like, you know, there's always infamous missions as a kid you remember.
Right.
And we were like, why don't we just say, remember this this mission?
Yeah.
And then they started doing them better and better and better. And then we realized, wait, the lighting matters, right? So we bought a ring light and made that. And, like, you just build up.
Right.
But it's just the first month was essentially trial and error, just doing a post, 2 posts a day, seeing what works best for this.
Mm-hmm.
And then doing the research on the analytics side. How many times should you post? What time? What hashtags? I remember your cousin reached out to me and wanted to know, like, how do I tackle this?
Yeah.
And I just sent him the guide that I, like, made, and boom, his account took off.
Well, he's
like,
another one. He's a psycho, too, like you.
Yeah.
Like us, really. But
like, you know, people are always like, I don't want to learn that platform. And I've been there. Like, I didn't want to even join TikTok. And then I saw the organic reach. It's one of the only apps that you can get millions of people to see your video that aren't following you.
It's true.
So, you know, the organic reach is ridiculous. And I was like, all right, let's attack it. And I just started, and we're here now.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It really is. And then something else that you mentioned was, like, COVID kind of hindered you from getting a job out of college.
Mm-hmm.
So, big mindset guy, obviously. And I kind of look at that as, like, that's a blessing. Of course, you could look at that as, people I'm sure look at that as, you know, almost like a form of sabotage where it's like, you know, oh, I just graduated, like, poor me, like, Eeyore mentality, but
Yeah.
you know, you look at what you built from that. Like, you wouldn't have had the time to kind of start everything you've started.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it in two ways, right? Obviously, in the beginning, not that I was upset, but, you know, there's pressure.
Right,
My family's
absolutely.
like, you need a job. You know, everybody's knocking on that door.
Sure.
And I'm sitting here watching, like, Gary Vee saying, like, yo, you don't have to figure it out till you're 50. And I'm, like, sitting here. And I realized, you know, everybody has their own life, but no one has it figured out.
No.
So I sat down and, you know, I was making music before COVID,
Right.
so I had something to work towards.
Right.
So that was something different from me than anyone else. You know,
Right.
a lot of people who didn't get a job or still don't have jobs didn't have anything.
Right.
I had something to work towards. So like you said, I had all the time to really attack, you know,
True.
these things. And then out of nowhere, we decided to do this, and now I have the time to do that. And it's grown and it's established, and now, you know, I've figured out how to efficiently balance time between all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, if I were to get into the corporate world, I could still grow these accounts on the side.
Right.
But that initial wave of just trying, the learning curve, you should say,
Yeah.
just, I did it. You know what I mean? So I don't have to worry about it. And that is in a blessing in a way.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I had a job right out of college, it would have been nice. You know, the student loans would have been gone, whatever. I'm still in there now, but time, I always say the cliche things like you do, but time is so valuable that I've taken advantage of almost every minute of this past year I've been out of college.
Right.
And I've also seen how, I don't want to say useless, because college is important for people depending on what you want to do. And obviously finance, I did learn a lot. But it teaches you how to learn things differently, right? We went to class, 3 hours a day?
Right.
What did you do? Like, I'm not saying you.
No,
in
yeah,
general.
yeah.
What did you do with the other 15?
Right.
Did
Sure.
you sit there and play video games and eat and go out and party? Or did you sit there and do something with the time?
Right.
Right? Me growing up, I wasn't really a partier. I took that time, and I didn't know the musical production side, so, like, I was that kid depressed 3 hours a day. I would go to class, and I would just sit there and watch YouTube and waste time. But then I found this, and I realized, wow, like, I can take advantage of time.
Right.
And it's sad because most people don't.
No.
And then they get the corporate job, and the weekend is their time, but the week they're struggling.
Right.
And it's just it's a constant cycle of just stuck.
You're just stuck on a hamster wheel.
And I'm not in a financially free place yet where I could say I made it.
Right.
But I have these avenues that could potentially get me there, and that's something that I just pride myself in. And not to just sound cocky, but, like, most people don't.
Well, like you said, they won't put in the work for it, and that's really what it comes down to.
That's another thing I wanted to discuss, which we can go into later if we want, but luck.
Yeah.
Because people
Sure.
always
Chalk
say,
it
you're
up.
so lucky. And I'm like, you don't understand.
Right.
Yes, there is a form of luck.
Right.
But it's the opportunity and the, not quantity, but the amount of times you put in the chance to become lucky.
Right.
Right? Like, I was posting music every day. So that's every day I had a chance for a song to do something.
Right.
Whereas people post once, twice a week. What do you think? I'm going to get luckier.
Right.
Absolutely. It's probability. There's more.
Luck meets preparation. You know, so something you said obviously was time, and it's not that I hate when people say they don't have time, because you do. It's you don't
Right.
prioritize your time, and that's really what it comes down to. And whether it be, you know, jumping into a new hobby, or figuring out a new social media platform, or something with music or video games, it's people want to use the excuse and just kind of throw it at I don't have time because I work the normal 9 to 5, or, you know, I have kids, or it's, you know, it goes back to, it's tough to get started. That's really,
it's tough to get started, and obviously, in a way, it was a blessing that I didn't get a 9 to 5, because I know what it's like to work. You know, I've worked jobs where you work all day,
right,
and you come home and you don't want to do anything.
Yeah, we all have our things, right? And it's finding those passions and actually doing something about them. And again, it doesn't have to be to monetize them. It could be to push other people, and, you know, that's something a little less intrusive, where, like, you know, people get a little take a step back when I want to, like, I don't want to force anybody to work out, or I would never, and this is something I actually was just saying to somebody the other day, I would never ask anybody to do the things I do. It's not normal. I'm fully aware.
It definitely is not normal.
I mean, even my day yesterday, I know for a fact, like, I ran 4 miles, I did the Murph, I went to the gym, and I went to the Met game. Like, and someone at work today was like, "Oh, what'd you do this weekend?" you worked out all weekend. I was like, yeah, I hit a 40-mile bike ride, went to the gym on Saturday, like, but that's what I want to do.
Well, I was gonna say the craziest part about that is you have a healthy obsession.
Right.
A lot of people have obsessions, but they're not healthy for them.
Right.
Your obsession is healthy to you.
Right.
Like me being obsessed with music, yeah, it can be bad socially because I'm, stuck in here just working.
Right.
But it's healthy because it's building towards something bigger.
Right.
Whereas a lot of people's obsessions actually wound up, I guess, putting them a step back.
It's true.
So that's another thing. Like, it's bizarre because obsession sounds bad.
Right.
Usually it's like, the connotation is negative.
Generally, yeah.
But, you throw the healthy in front of it because literally you're doing things that, yeah, I guess you could say could hurt your body or whatever. But
can't overtrain.
You're probably way healthier than I am. Like,
but that's, yeah. But then on the other end, like, musically, like, I mean, come on. Yeah. Not even close. Like, but the funny thing, too, is that, and it's something you touched on, like, me doing my stuff, you doing your stuff, a lot of it comes into, which is another reason why people shy away, is it's a lot of time alone.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's something that people, and when you're alone, as you know, you learn a lot about yourself because you're by yourself. That's it. You're with yourself. You're almost your own friend in a way because I mean we all have a voice in our head, obviously, and it's what you do with that voice, and you don't let it stop you.
Yeah.
And it's something that you have to sit with. So you got to kind of become something I've been saying for a little bit now. Is like, I'm my own best friend, and I know how crazy that sounds.
I was gonna say, like, even when I'm around people, some points I still feel alone.
Right.
Just because I don't know. Obviously, like, I've been through so much in my life that people just don't know because I don't try and use it or whatever. When you're alone, like you said, when you're content with being alone, like when I hit, it was dangerous, but it turned out to be beneficial.
Were you always like kind of doing things on your own and always like keeping to yourself?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, I said to you earlier before we did this, you don't realize all the stuff you've gone through until you have to think and talk about it.
Right.
And like I flipped and held my leg up, and we just knew. So like I went, got an X-ray. It was fine, right? Because it's not going to show a torn ligament.
Right.
So I went back to playing sports, and I would pivot to second and collapse, and like my knee would crack, and I'd scream, and then like it kept happening. It happened like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, wait a minute, this is something else. So MRI, ACL, and I was in 5th grade. What is that, like 10 11? So right then and there, I had surgery, and then I had 9 months of physical therapy. So there's 3 days a week where I'm with adults, working in a gym, like as a little kid. Yeah. I met some great people through it. I actually trained with UFC fighters, Kurt Pellegrino and Greg Soto, to like, I think they were lightweights. And like I learned so much from them too, but it messed with me because I actually had friends at the time that I would text and say, hey, like, you guys want to hang out? And they'd write back, well, we don't want to just sit inside and play video games, so no. Like, kids are nasty.
Right,
so, I went through all that, and even in school I was bullied like severely for multiple things, but mainly like obviously I was bullied for my I had embrace from from people call me robot, like all, and like it started to get to me, and then it made me just want to be alone. Right. So I stayed to myself, and I had friends and I had people to speak with, and I wasn't like whatever, but I wound up just teaching. I focused on academics because that was all I had. Right. I didn't have music because I gave it up. I didn't have sports. So like, what is another kid gonna do? So I focused on academics, and I like, that's just by yourself. Right. You don't study with people. Right. I mean, you can, but
not sure.
But looking back, like, I've almost done everything on my own. I mean, I went to college and learned. You go to school and you learn from teachers, but I mean, how much of that stuff do you really apply in the real world? Which 100%. Sounds awful, but
it's true.
I never really even thought about it, but almost everything I've done is self-taught. Yeah.
Which comes back to being alone and having the time to do that.
Well, just not having anyone else to reach out to. Right. I had 3 or 4 close friends that were always there for me and will always be there for me. Right. But even still, not that it wasn't enough, but I wasn't, I guess, like, I didn't understand it enough to be like, that's enough for me. Right. Like, now I don't want any other friends. It's funny I got 4.
I was just going to say, so when you get older, though, it's funny how that switches, where it's like, I think it's Joey Diaz, the comedian. I keep seeing that because all this motivation stuff's all over my feed.
Get up and get started.
But not even that. He's like, you know, people think they need like 20 friends. Like, you need like 3 motherfuckers. Like, he's like,
I want to say, at most, I have two hands full.
Right.
At most.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of people I'm very friendly with,
right.
and I consider them a friend. But like friends that are there for me for whatever I need them for, I would say I have maybe at most 10. I
think that's so. Obviously, you kind of had that your whole upbringing and then to now. Mm-hmm. But I think that's something that people really it starts to hit like after college, where it's that like you know you don't have all these people around you or you know even
going to college, right? So a lot of people have so many friends in high school. They get to college and maybe some of those friends they lose touch with. And then, you know, they have all those friends in college and they come back home for winter break and no one's there.
Yeah, it's true.
And like you said, I never even thought about it because I was used to it.
Right. So it's funny because I'm on the complete opposite end of that spectrum.
Really?
Because, like, yeah, I mean, I wasn't like, you know, I always got along with everybody. I would like to think I was always nice to everybody. So for that reason, I was always just kind of friendly with everyone.
Yeah.
Obviously, I had my own groups, but I always had a lot of friends and like a ton of friends. And then, you know, one class clown in high school, like always played sports, always had like friends on different teams and stuff like that. And then that kind of fell right into like the going out life where like a lot of people that have went out with me, like I wouldn't even say I get like crazy, but like
no, but
I'm a good time.
Fun.
I'm a good time when I mean you've seen me drunk. I'm me, but a little amplified, a little louder, a little more outgoing, and so that is something for me personally. Like I have friends that I could text. Honestly, probably like 100 people to be like, "Yo, what are you doing this weekend?"
Mm-hmm.
And I could go out with any of them.
Yeah.
But for me, like COVID hit, started working out, doing all this self like, in a way like a self journey kind of, and that's it kind of like come out this weekend or like let's go to this barbecue and it's like nah I'm kind of doing something else right now.
Yeah. And
I kind of prioritize my health and like just focus on myself. And then I had a little regression after COVID, but kind of fell back into this, and it's funny because like those texts stop, like, and which is fine. Like, I completely get it. How many times are you gonna ask someone to go out and they say no?
Of
like,
course.
I get it. It's funny. I was just having a conversation with someone else about this, where it's, those some friends might think you're no longer friends, and that's not the case. You just don't. You're like, I stopped watching sports. So for me, like, I was heavily involved in sports my whole life, watching, gambling. Like, it was sports were everything. Like, it was literally like I'd wake up and it's like I'm betting college basketball is my thing. Like, it's like this game's on at 7. Like, just sitting there all day, literally waiting for the game to start, and then just like betting the game and watching the game. Like it's crazy, but it's that stuff where like you kind of stop doing the things that people like attribute you to, and you kind of just like fall out of it. That's it.
Well, I know, being that you started all this, like your journey on this path. Once you start something, like you don't want to waste the time anymore.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I sit here and I go, wait a minute, I can go out for 3 or 4 hours, or I can get X amount of videos done.
So true.
And it's like, that's the hardest thing I'm dealing with right now, is finding the balance between, like, listen, you're all right, you can have some fun. Because right now, like, I always text you and you're like, dude, go outside, like, have some fun. And, like, it's bad because if I don't, it builds up and then you crash.
Right.
Like, I'm still working on that where it's like, it's okay to take a day.
Right.
But the problem is when I take a day, like, it builds, and then I have to work on this. So, like, I have to work on, like, it's not even like work-life balance, because I don't know what you consider it, but I need to be okay with, like, all right, I can go out and
not be so productive.
Right.
Well, it's funny because now again, being on I'm all or nothing, and a lot of people will tell me this, and it's true. And sometimes you need people to tell you this stuff to really. I do a lot of reflecting, so one of the guys at work calls me out for a lot of stuff, and like I'll go home and be like he was right, like guy, like, and he's the man, I love him, but like he said one day, like he's like,
you need that though,
like
you need that,
but people don't reflect on it. That's the problem. Where if you just, because of course your initial reaction is like, well, like f you, like it's gonna be like but it's. If you sit down and you're like, he's right. Like, one day he said, I have OCD, and like I'm sitting there and analyzing some of the things I do. I was like,
holy shit, I do put this cup in the top.
Bad OCD, like I do, like so. Obviously, I make pre-workout like in the morning and stuff, and like I shake it like 24 times each hand. Like I do.
It has to be 24.
I'm so weird, bro. Like it's like little things like that where it's like I'm not hurting anybody. Like who cares?
No,
but it's my little tics. One big thing that I love is waking up Saturday morning, clear-headed, didn't drink the night before, didn't eat like shit, feel great in the gym. Because, like, that's my happy place. That's what brings me, you know, enjoyment. Or even, like, you know, Saturday I went for a 40-mile bike ride. People look at that like, that's crazy. I bike through, like, I don't even know how many towns that is.
I was going to say, the cool part when you bike is, like, you're going to, like, you know,
went to Asbury
Park, you're going to Pier Village, you're seeing, like,
cool.
This,
it's awesome. And it's, like, it was a nice sunny day, like, bunch of people out getting some rays. Like, it's
you know
fun.
what it is? It comes back to just people not being open enough.
Yeah.
Like, someone will hear that, and not that they'll make fun of you, but they'll, like, poke at you in a way to see, like, what your reaction will be, because they think it's not normal to do that.
Right.
And it's like, that's your like, you do that almost all the time. So it's like...
Yeah. No, and it's funny because it's, like you just said, like, they'll poke at it because it's the insecurities. So even, like, when my coworker calls me out, like, the first thing you want to do is snap back.
Right.
When really it's like, if you sit there and analyze this stuff, it's like, you could use this as positive information to create yourself into a better version.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people will just, you know, it's right back. It's the, you know, the quick comment back where it's, you know, of course sometimes we all succumb to it, but it's not the right approach to it. And like you said, it's a balance. So I personally, I'll fall off the deep end the other way, where, you know, oh, let me just go out this night. I go out that night. Now, next weekend comes, I go out Friday, Saturday. Now, the weekend after comes, and I'm not only having a couple drinks, I
was going to say, I feel like you're not a roller coaster, but you go way one or way the other, where I'm like, not way one or the other. I'm more of just like, I'm always working, and there's never a dip.
Right.
Where I need to have it for it to be healthy. Like, you know, you have the, I take a couple days off and I go and, you know, I have fun and
bender,
and then I work out 100 miles. Whereas I'm like always working, and there's never that dip of like, I mean, I have fun. I love, you know what it is? I love what I do.
You're
which like sounds so corny, but like, you know, when I am making music and I am editing, that is what makes me happy. So it's not, you know, to me, when people are like, you need to go out and meet people, of course I do, but I find like I'll go to the studio and meet people.
Right.
Or I'll figure out a way to meet people through what I do, as opposed to just like, go to, you know, bar A or whatever. Which honestly I have to go. You know what it is? It also
it was fantastic.
No, I need to like I said, I'm being open on here. I need to start going out because, you know, I do miss not a lot of moments, which it is what it is, but just the ability to meet more people who potentially could be like me. That's the hard part.
It's true.
And the hardest part that I struggled with in college is like, there were people like me, but I never ran into them because they were like me.
Right.
They stayed in and they so
well, that goes back to the point that you just made, though. Those people might not be out either. They could be, and they could have the balance that you're looking for, which you could learn from. But they could also just not. They're not out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where, and I fall into the same thing. I mean, even my little sister today was saying, like, joking around with me, like, so and so reached out to her asking if I was single, and I was like, that's just not even something. Like, I've been single for like almost a year now, which is like the longest of my life, which sounds ridiculous, but I mean, from birth to having my first girlfriend, this is the longest I've ever been single, which is like, I mean, what are we doing? But it's like, it's funny, like, I was sitting there, it's like, that's not even like close to what is going on in my head all day.
I mean, I'm the same way. Like, I feel like I won't ever slow down, and even when I do, my goal right now is like to get a plaque. I want to get a gold or a platinum plaque. Like, that is just what's keeping me up. But I feel like even when I get it, I won't slow down. But that is just where my mind is. Like, I'm working so hard to get that. And even with the retro channel, like, I'm trying to just grow this channel, so I can, you know, just impact as many people, because like video games, people don't realize, is a huge aspect of almost everybody's life right
100%.
now. And it's not just this new like wave of Twitch streamers playing like Warzone and stuff. Like, all the people we talk to are our age in our window that are like, oh my god, do you remember Double Dash on GameCube? And like,
well, it's funny because even you brought up obviously earlier the story about the guy and his cousin. Like, my cousins, and not to get like crazy dark here, but you know, we lost my aunt and my uncle, and those two cousins, we loved GameCube. And so the week they lost their dad, I lost my uncle, they slept in my house. I can't even tell you how many games of like Mario Strikers, Double Dash, like, that's what we did. And it was like, not to like forget what's going on, but it helps. Like, it helps bring you together. It's something we all had in common that we love playing. Like, but you're right, like, you really are changing and helping people in a way that you might not realize your reach is actually expanding to.
Right.
Which is cool.
Well, when I, I had my operation, I couldn't do anything physically other than like PT, stretching, and all that. All I had was really video games as a kid. So, I was playing Modern Warfare with the servers and all that. And then, because I was just like made fun of, and if my friends weren't around, I was just alone. I would play video games if my brother was home or just by myself. And I'll never forget, like, it's crazy to say because it sounds like so, I don't know, not like absurd, but Battlefront 2 on PS2 got me through so much in my life, which like I would love to meet the developers and explain them that. Like I can even recall it, junior year of high school, which is like the year, you're taking the SAT, you're looking for college. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was being made fun of at school. I'd come home already just depressed.
Right.
Well, first of all, I'd wake up not wanting to go.
Right.
I'd go, I'd fight through the day, I'd deal with it. I'd come home and see her struggling.
Right.
And then I would get in the car, we'd go to the treatment center, because I'd always stay strong for my mom. I would sit with her. She had no clue I was the school scenario where I was getting made fun of, whatever. But we'd sit together in the room, and I'd witness, something that I probably shouldn't have seen at such a young age, but it's important for me to be there for my mom. So, you go there, I'm seeing all these people get induced chemo, and my other close friend, Chris, was also, he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, so, like, he was still recovering from that, and it was just literally hell.
Right.
Like, not that, it wasn't impacting, it wasn't directly at me, but my whole...
Absolutely, yeah.
Everything was...
Yeah, your environment.
Yeah, so I just remember, like, vividly, on weekends, because I didn't have school, I would wake up, my brother would wake up, same time, we'd run downstairs and play Battlefront together, and, like, I can see all those days where I spent time in that, and you just don't realize, because as you grow, like, you forget about all these memories, where it's just like, oh, it's a video game, but these video games mean, like, the world to some people.
Absolutely. And same with music. Like,
music, music saved my life. I mean, I can guarantee that music saved my life.
Yeah.
Just the ability to... another thing that I did on my own, right? I had nobody, but just the ability to share and, like, express, I guess, my feelings through music. Because I remember you were like, holy shit, this kid is nuts. We were talking about editing one of your reels, and I mentioned how I studied, like, the frequency spectrum, where you can, like, I can adjust the frequencies and to get, like, human emotion, like, if I want to be sad, whatever. And you were like, wow, this kid is, like, a different level.
Well, it's,
like,
it's different level of care, really.
Yeah,
it's
but,
cool. Like, it's...
just the ability to make music, and I guess that was my form of... I know it sounds so corny, but, like, expressing myself.
No, absolutely.
Musically.
Well, I think we all are, because I said this, I believe, last episode, and you said you liked it. We all have our own story.
Yeah.
And we all tell it in different ways. And I think your creativity to do that is how you express yourself, obviously.
Right.
So yours is musically. Obviously, I like talking. But you know what I mean? But making yourself vulnerable doesn't have to be opening up about a story. It could be creating a song.
Yeah.
It could be even, the video games. Like, there's so much that... in a world right now where it's so much content, we should all be creators.
Yeah.
I personally feel.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody's turning into one.
Right.
Really.
Which they should. And your vulnerability could help someone at a stage that you have no idea, like we've just said, like, you don't know the impact you're having.
Right.
And it's...
The worst part is there's such a negative connotation behind, like, I'm a content creator.
Right.
People automatically assume, like, you're dancing. You're like...
You
have no talent. You're just dancing on a screen, and it is what it is. But... like, now that there's niches and everything is growing and everything is content now, people are starting to realize, like, wow, there's so much more to, like, creating content than just being, like, a star or whatever.
Right. It's true. And it's, well, I think it's the passion behind it that really comes down to it, and then the authenticity where, obviously people want to just blow up overnight to monetize it, to make the money, but it's like, if you have a deeper why, and it goes back to, like, what actually keeps you going, which is one of the questions for you, so right after I finish you could just pick that up. But it's that, and it's what is your purpose for it, and I guess that'll lead it into, like, what keeps you going.
What keeps me going? I'd probably say just the fact that I haven't gotten to where I perceive myself to be, or not perceive, but where I want to be.
Right.
Everybody has, like, dreams of what they want, but a lot of them fade away, whereas, like, I'm still a kid at heart, and I still want like, you know,
right.
to get to certain levels in life where I just haven't been to yet. And these little wins along the way, like, that's my form of dopamine.
Right.
So, you know, I really sat back the other day, and I mean, I'm not going to say how much I sold. You know, I worked on an album, so you can imagine, you know,
right.
13 songs.
Right.
I watched that notification pop in when I made those sales, and I was like, I did this by myself.
Right.
You know, no help. And that to me was like, it just hit me like, this is what I'm meant to do.
Right.
So it's not even like there's little things that keep me going where like these little, it's just like I found my purpose, and that's, I know, like, obviously this whole podcast is discussing that, and that's why I'm really just on here, otherwise I'd be behind the camera. But I found, you know, but the crazy part is, just when I think I know what I want to do forever, I meet you, and now I'm editing podcasts. I would never have done this. Like, I'm just open to different things, and I'm trying to just figure out my way, but at the same time, I know what I want to be at.
Chasing that personal Everest, and it's something that goes back to Matthew McConaughey, who says it's like somebody he looks up to is him in 5 years.
Right.
And he'll never be that, because obviously you're going to be 5 years away in 5 years.
Right.
But it's just keep on chasing. So even you mentioned going gold.
Right.
I guarantee, you know, you go gold once, that's not where you're stopping.
Right.
Like, but some
then
people,
it becomes I want to go platinum.
Exactly.
And then it becomes I want to go triple, and then it.
Exactly, and that's the differentiator, I think, for a lot of people, like that it factor, where some people are cool with just settling, and
there's nothing wrong with that either.
Absolutely, and it's everybody's degree of joy and happiness is really what it comes down to. And when I first started having this, like, I guess spiritual awakening, you could call it, I don't know, I go back and forth with, like,
no, I mean, that's a perfect way to put it, because obviously, I mean, when I was alone, I was watching stuff like that to try and just get through the day.
Right.
I would go on YouTube and literally write, like, how to be happy, like things like that, where it's just so general and like didn't make any sense. But then, you know, a Tony Robbins video would pop up, and I'd be like, who's this guy? And then I watch hours and hours of his videos.
And it hits. But something that I was struggling with when I first was going through this is that, like, I knew I didn't want to be a police officer anymore, because at the time I was still a cop, and I was just like, I can't work a 9 to 5. Like, I have to start a business. And then I was sitting there and I was like looking at my own family. I was like, why didn't you all start a business?
Yeah.
Like, why do we all just kind of almost in a form settle? And it also goes back to the point you just said, where it's like, you're a kid at heart, where I feel like that's the best people, and that's people I've been gravitating to the most, which is funny that obviously we're connecting and doing this. I think everything's connected on a bigger scale than we know, but it goes back to that, where it's, if you don't lose that, like, play like, kid like mentality, you're always kind of trying to evolve. The people that think that they have it all figured out and everything's set, that's when something is going to come and rock your world.
Well, I all the time sit back and go, you know, why didn't people take the risk? And it really comes down to just like a salary. I think what's his name, Kevin O'Leary said it. A salary is a drug, right? It's elicited so you can just be content with where you are,
right?
And you know, some people fight hard to get raises, whatever, but when you're content with where you are, you don't grow,
right?
So, you know, one day I can wake up and make X amount, and then tomorrow I can make nothing.
Right.
So there's that whole, like, I got to work regardless, because who knows what happens. And it's just unlimited upside, and there is some downside, unlimited downside potential, right? Because, you know, I'm not where I want to be financially with the stuff that I'm working with now. Right. If I didn't have a family that was willing to allow me to take this little point in time, I mean, I never asked them for anything. I've been paying my loans off with all the money I've saved. But the point is, like, they could have easily said, you're not living here, or you have to pay rent here, or
absolutely,
whatever. Which is just something I'm grateful for. But, you know, it's just the fact that I have the chance to work towards something that could set me up forever. Right. And that just keeps me, like, focused, because it's like, wow, if I get this off the ground, then I'm doing what I love and I'm living off what I love. Right? The plaques, all that. I'm literally just being able to do what I want every day.
100%.
Like, the feeling that I get now doing it, if I just had the money coming in that I needed to do it, I'm good.
Right. But you don't even need the money for materialistic things.
No, just to live. Yeah, just to eat. And
right. But that's
I mean, I want my own place, whatever. Obviously, I want to live here forever, but...
Well, I think it comes in time anyway. But that's That's it. Yeah, and that it's funny because it really hit where it's like people want to blow up for the monetary reasons.
Yeah.
I think that's just something on the side that just kind of falls into place.
Brainwashed.
Yeah.
We're brainwashed to want that, right? For the longest time when I started music, I did want that.
Right.
I wanted the chains. Look at me. But, I wanted the diamond chains,
right.
The Maniac logo and the globe. I had designs. I had thoughts. I want that mansion in Florida overlooking the water. Do I still want it? Of course. But that's not the reason why I do it.
That's not the why.
Yeah, that's not the why. I mean, I was completely like that. I sat on and watched Icebox videos of, like, I don't know if you know Icebox in Atlanta. They're like the huge, like, jewelry. I sat for hours watching Most Expensivest with 2 Chainz. Like, just seeing this stuff and, like, it helps because you picture what you want and you work harder for it.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I've watched interviews where they, like, all these celebrities say it doesn't mean anything.
No.
And, like, I've felt that in aspects of, my life here now, where I'll buy something that I've been trying to save up for and you get it. And then it's like,
that's it. It's cool for a minute. Yeah.
Like, I've tried to rewire my brain in a way of just, like, like you said, not focusing on, like, the material aspect.
It kind of goes back to instant gratification.
Yeah.
So it's, achieving that quick goal rather than you're climbing your own personal Everest where you're going to hit these milestones along the way that, like you said, are going to give you that dopamine, but it's that upward battle, that it's the journey. And this sounds really complicated, and I just said this, I don't know if I said it to you, I said it to someone the other day, where, like, even I go on these long runs, these long bike rides, and I have no idea what the end of what I want to create. I know I want to create something.
Right.
I assume it's going to be in the form of some sort of business, and I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but I want to create something. And luckily I'm not scared to take a jump into something new, so at some point here, I think something's going to click and we'll figure it out. But I go on these long runs, and you kind of go into, like, that flow state, and I'm sure you do with your music, and even, like, the long bike ride, like this past weekend I was thinking of it. I think of, like, when it gets hard, or, like, those miles get hard, or, it's getting tough to pedal, or even doing the Murph, like, it's tough to do 100 pull-ups. Like,
sure.
You're sitting there, and I think, I'm like, what if this is you looking back? You already made it. Whatever making it is for you, or where you want to be at. What if you're already there and you're looking back? Like, how would you want to see yourself going through that process?
I mean, obviously, when I started with music, I wanted to blow up overnight.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was posting. The problem with music is you start out regardless, you're bad.
Right.
No one starts out, you're just amazing.
No. Yeah.
So, but I was still tagging all these artists, like famous artists, because I thought my stuff was good, because you don't know. And then you realize, wait, I'm not good.
Right.
And then you work and work and work. But like you said, looking back, if I blew up overnight, it wouldn't even be close to the same level of gratitude and appreciation than 4 or 5 years worth of hard work to get to that point.
Well, even the confidence builds, I'm sure, for you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure music is something that probably gives you confidence in that sense, where you need it. You need the journey.
Yeah.
And I don't, Russ? Yeah, obviously you know Russ.
Yeah,
but
of course.
You follow Russ?
I follow not necessarily his music, but I understand his mindset based off of the industry and his self-confidence.
So he has I just finished his book probably last week. It's called It's All in Your Head.
Yeah, It's All in Your Head. It's a yellow cover, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Insane. Like, great. He's not even, I think he read for, like, a short amount of time. I don't think he's, like, deep into reading anymore, but he wrote a book anyway, and it's incredible. His, like, manifesting skills, and just, like, he was one of these people that just, like,
he did it all. So he bought a computer,
right,
and he learned how to engineer. He produced, he mixed, he mastered, he sang, he made beats. So he literally did everything, and then he didn't get a label. He distributed himself independently.
Right.
So his residual income is ridiculous because he owns everything.
Right.
Like, there's a way to make it out in music. I don't want to make this a music podcast, but there's a way to do it, and he did it right. But that's the problem. People are so ready to just take the label deal.
Right. And that's
just because it's easier, and I'm sure he talked about that.
That's what he went into, and he went into the journey how, like, like, he didn't blow up overnight. It took forever.
It took him a couple years.
Yeah,
I think.
It took him a
5
while.
years.
And then even there was a year there, I think he put a song out every day. And like you said, it goes back to just chipping away.
Yeah, he did. I know his approach was like a song a week for
a song a
year.
week. Yeah, song
Which,
a week per year.
It's
a lot.
It's a lot, but I mean, the thing is, he put out, from what I've heard, good music for a year, which is difficult.
But like you said, I mean, I'm sure we listen to his very, very early stuff. It's not even close to what it is now.
Well, the reason a lot of artists are really making it now is the standard is so low.
It's true.
Like, music is so... And again, I don't want to make this a music thing, but the standard for good music nowadays is so low.
It's true.
And it like upsets me because I have this whole thing which I tell everybody. I'm like, I wish sometimes I didn't know music, because now I know what it takes to do it, and I hear these radio hits, or I'll hear like the latest Drake song, and I'm like, dude, he laid a hi-hat, a snare, a sample, and like I could pick it apart in like 20 minutes and be like, I could have done that.
Right.
Which, like, you know, it is what it is, but the point is, sometimes knowing behind the scenes isn't the best.
Yeah. No, it's funny. It's something completely disconnected from music, but I even noticed that, like, with nutrition myself. Like, I know, like, I've done deep dives in nutrition. I've taken a lot of podcasts about it, and, like, I love dessert food.
Yeah.
But, like, I know what's in it. I know what it does to me. Like, it's just...
Right. You know it's not good, but you need it.
And it's crazy, yeah. And it's one of those things, yeah. It's just...
I was going to ask you, so being that, like, you're open, that you just start stuff all the time. I know this podcast is a big hobby of yours, or trying to make it into something bigger than that. But, like, what's something completely random that you want to do that you haven't done yet?
Something completely outside the box that a couple guys, like Jesse Itzer, who I spoke about, Jay Shetty, they went and lived with monks. I think I'm on my phone. I would. I don't think I'm in a spot right now where I can.
Wow. I don't know. I could not handle it.
I'm that type of all or nothing where I could dive into that for like 30 days, and I think I'd come out like a completely
different.
Yeah. I think it would just be a
like,
great
I have
outlook.
Such high respect for them. I just know the way I am, I wouldn't be able
I can't do it long term, but I think to dive into that world for a little bit and just kind of learn what I can from that experience would be life-changing, honestly.
Yeah. Do you meditate?
I do, every morning.
Do you feel like it helps?
Yeah.
I can't.
Game changer.
I can't.
I can't leave my room until I'm done with my whole morning routine, and one of them is meditation.
Really?
Just because it sets the tone for the day.
See, I always wanted to, and I was always not envious, but I always kept working on, like, I need to shut my brain off. Like, meditation is a form of that. Right. Just they say repeat words or whatever, like, listen to these YouTube talk-throughs.
For me, too, and, like, that's one of the things that I feel like a lot of people kind of have that, where it's, how do I meditate?
Right.
Everybody has their own form of meditation. I mean, people could tell you whatever they want. Personally, my interpretation of it is that everybody has their own form of it, and it's just your way of getting in that frame of mind, whatever that is for you.
Yeah, because I feel like, me personally, I'd want to start my day with it.
Yeah.
To, like, get in a good mindset before.
Now, I hear it all the time, though. A lot of people are like, how do I
just can't
how do I just sit there? And you just have to sit there and be still.
Yeah, I just need, you know what, I need to be disciplined with it. Yeah. Like, regardless of whether it works or not, I need to set that time away and, like, do it every day until it actually
it's one of those things. Keep throwing shit at the wall, and eventually you'll figure it out. All right, yeah. I mean, we touched a lot of topics that I wanted to get to, and obviously learned a lot about you.
Yeah, I'm keeping you up.
Yeah, I know, it's past my bedtime. But
usually in bed by 8.
100%. But anytime you guys see cool edits or any transitions or any reels or anything, just know it's all this guy. Honestly, own a lot of it. This wouldn't even got started without him. And just want to say I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
And thank you for your time tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for listening. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And see you next episode.